Have you ever been so tired that sleep did nothing for you? Not just physically tired, but drained in your mind, heavy in your heart, and empty in your spirit. The kind of tired that makes even simple things feel difficult. The kind that sits on your chest like a stone and whispers, "You can't keep going." If that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me. Here is the truth I want you to hear right away. Your tiredness does not mean you are failing. It means you have been carrying more than most people realize. You have kept moving when you wanted to stop. You have smiled when you were exhausted. You have prayed when you had almost no strength left to pray. You have shown up, held on, and pushed through more battles than anyone around you knows about. And God sees every bit of it. He is not annoyed by your weariness. He is not disappointed because you are tired. He is compassionate. He is near. He is ready to meet you in that place where your strength runs out and His begins to shine. The Bible does not ignore seasons of exhaustion. It speaks directly into them. It offers comfort, direction, and real hope for the moments when you feel like you have nothing left to give. And that is what this message is about. We are going to walk through 6 powerful Bible verses for the tired, the discouraged, the overwhelmed, and the ones who are barely hanging on. These verses are not just beautiful words. They are anchors. They are light in the dark. They are reminders that God never asks you to survive by your own power alone. He offers His strength, His peace, His rest, and His help. So wherever you are right now, whether you are listening in your car, at home, at work, or in a quiet moment that feels a little too heavy, breathe deeply and let your heart settle. God is speaking to you today. The first promise comes from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. And if you are tired, this verse is like fresh water poured over a dry soul. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. There is so much hope packed into that one verse. The people who first heard these words were not living in comfort. They were not surrounded by easy answers or quick relief. They were dealing with hardship, uncertainty, and long periods of waiting. In other words, they knew what it was like to wonder if strength would ever return. Maybe that is where you are right now. Maybe you are waiting for healing, waiting for a door to open, waiting for peace to come back, waiting for your energy to return, waiting for God to move. And this verse says something incredible. Waiting on the Lord is not wasted time. It is where renewal begins. To wait on God does not mean to sit around doing nothing. It means to trust Him while you wait. It means you stop trying to force every outcome in your own strength. It means you release control and admit that God sees the bigger picture better than you do. The world says, push harder. God says, come closer. The world says, try to hold it all together. God says, let me renew you. And that word renew is powerful. It means your strength can be replaced, refreshed, and restored. God does not merely patch you up and send you back into the fight. He fills you again. He gives you what exhaustion has taken away. Then the verse says, they shall mount up with wings as eagles. That image is breathtaking. Eagles do not panic when the wind blows. They rise above it. They use the very force that would push others down to lift them higher. And that is what God can do in your life. He can take the pressure that has been wearing you down and use it to lift you into a different perspective, a deeper trust, and a stronger faith. Then comes the promise that speaks to every kind of tiredness. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. God is not promising a life without challenges. He is promising endurance through them. Some seasons require speed. Other seasons require slow, faithful steps. Sometimes you have to run because life is moving fast and the demands are heavy. Other times, all you can do is take one small step at a time and keep going. If that is you, this promise is still for you. You do not need to be ashamed that you feel worn out. You do not need to pretend you are fine when you are not. You are not disqualified because you are tired. Your weakness does not scare God. So today, if your heart needs words to pray, pray this: Lord, I choose to wait on you. Renew my strength. Lift me above this exhaustion. Help me keep moving, even if all I can do is take one step at a time. I trust you to carry me when I cannot carry myself. Hold on to that. Your weariness is not the final chapter. Renewal is coming. The second promise is found in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, and it sounds like one of the gentlest invitations ever spoken. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Jesus does not say, come to me when you finally have everything together. He does not say, come back when you are stronger. He does not say, fix yourself first. He simply says, come. That alone should change the way you hear this verse. Jesus is not standing at a distance, with folded arms. He is not asking you to prove anything. He is inviting you. And that invitation is for the weary, the overloaded, the burdened, the people who are carrying more than they were meant to carry alone. Maybe your tiredness is visible on the outside, but maybe it is deeper than that. Maybe your real exhaustion is in your soul. Maybe you are worn down by constant expectations, endless responsibilities, emotional strain, or the pressure to always be strong for everyone else. Maybe no one sees how much is happening inside you. Maybe you have gotten good at functioning while exhausted. Maybe you are still showing up, still taking care of business, still answering messages, still keeping things moving, even though your heart feels like it is dragging behind your body. Jesus sees all of it, and he says, I will give you rest, not temporary relief, not a quick distraction, not the kind of rest that fades the minute the next problem arrives. He offers true rest, the kind that reaches your soul. He continues in Matthew chapter 11, verses 29 and 30, saying, take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. That word yoke matters. A yoke connects two together so they can move as one. When Jesus says to take his yoke, he is saying you do not have to carry the full weight of life by yourself anymore. You are not meant to drag this burden alone. You were never designed to hold every pressure in your own hands. A lot of people are not just physically tired. They are soul tired. They are tired from striving, from performing, from trying to keep everyone happy, from living under expectations that never stop coming. They are tired from carrying guilt, regret, anxiety, and pressure without ever laying it down. But Jesus offers another way. He offers rest for the inner person. He offers a steadier pace. He offers the relief of walking with him instead of dragging everything alone. So come honestly. Come without polishing your pain. Come with your fatigue, your doubts, your tears, your questions, your failures, your fear. You do not need to clean yourself up before you come to him. He already knows what is in your hands and what is in your heart. Lay it all down. The stress, the disappointment, the pressure, the frustration, the secret fears you have never said out loud. Put it into his hands and let him carry what you were never meant to hold. Psalm 55, verse 22 gives a strong supporting promise. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. That is not a maybe. That is not a small possibility. That is a promise. Jesus is not asking you to work harder for peace. He is inviting you to trust deeper. And when you come to him, you do not just find a break from the pressure. You find rest, renewal, and hope that starts to heal what exhaustion has worn down. The third promise comes from Psalm chapter 23, verses 1 through 3, and this is where the picture becomes deeply personal. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. David wrote these words as a man who knew struggle. He knew what it meant to face danger, responsibility, conflict, and emotional weight. This was not a verse written from a life untouched by hardship. It came from someone who had been through enough to understand the value of having a faithful shepherd. That is the beauty of this psalm. It does not describe God as a distant observer. It describes him as a shepherd. A shepherd does not simply watch from far away. A shepherd leads, protects, provides, and stays close. A shepherd knows the condition of the sheep. A shepherd notices when they are exhausted, fearful, or wandering. And that is exactly what God is like. The verse says, He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Sheep do not always know when they need rest. In fact, anxious sheep often refuse to lie down. They stay alert, nervous, and restless. So when the psalm says that God makes them lie down, it shows his loving care and wise authority. Sometimes he lovingly slows us down because he knows we cannot keep running at the pace we have chosen. You may feel like you must keep pushing through. You may think slowing down is weakness. You may believe you need to prove your strength by never stopping. But your shepherd says something different. Rest. Come here. I am leading you. Then the psalm says, He leadeth me beside the still waters. Still waters are not chaotic. They are calm. They are safe. They are refreshing. They are the opposite of the noise and turbulence that often fill our lives. Maybe your world has felt loud lately. Too many demands, too many voices, too many decisions, too many worries, too much noise inside your own head. If so, this is your reminder that God leads you into places where your soul can breathe again. And then comes one of the most tender phrases in all of Scripture. He restoreth my soul. That is more than a break. That is deep renewal. To restore means to bring back, to repair, to revive, to make whole again. God restores what fatigue has drained. He restores joy that has been buried under stress. He restores peace that has been lost in a season of pressure. He restores clarity when your mind feels foggy. He restores strength when you have nothing left to give. And then the psalm says, He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. This matters because tiredness can make everything feel confusing. When you are exhausted, even small decisions can feel heavy. You can second-guess yourself, overthink everything, and lose confidence in your direction. But the shepherd does not abandon you in confusion. He leads you one step at a time. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being guided by a faithful God. So speak this over yourself today. The Lord is my shepherd. I am cared for. I am not abandoned. I am being guided. I am being restored. Let that truth quiet your anxiety. Let it soften your fear. Let it remind you that you do not have to know the whole road when you already know the one who leads you. The fourth promise comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And this one turns the world's idea of weakness upside down. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. That is not what the world expects to hear. The world says weakness is something to hide. The world says weakness means you are behind, insufficient, or not enough. The world tells you to mask your pain and present strength at all times. But God says something very different. He says His grace is sufficient, not barely enough, not almost enough, enough, fully enough, completely enough, more than enough for every burden, every tear, every unresolved issue, every hidden fear, every long night, every hard morning, every moment you feel like you cannot keep going. Paul understood this deeply. He had a thorn in the flesh, something that caused repeated struggle and suffering. He asked God to remove it. He wanted relief. He wanted the pressure gone. But God's answer was not immediate removal. It was deeper revelation. My grace is sufficient. That means God's favor, strength, help, and presence are enough to sustain you, even when your circumstances do not change as quickly as you want them to. And then comes the stunning truth. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. That means God's power shines brightest when your own strength has run out. It means the place you think disqualifies you is the very place where God's power can be seen most clearly. When you reach the end of yourself, you finally stop pretending you are the source. And that is where grace begins to carry you in a new way. Paul responds by saying in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10, For when I am weak, then am I strong. Not because weakness is pleasant, but because weakness creates room for Christ's power. This is such an important reminder for anyone who feels tired today. Your weariness does not mean God has left. It may mean He is teaching you to lean on Him more deeply. It may mean He is showing you that your limitations are not the end of your story. So stop hiding your weakness from God. Bring Him the part of you that feels drained. Bring Him the part of you that feels inadequate. Bring Him the part of you that is afraid you will not make it. He is not shocked by your limits. He already knows them. And He is not asking you to be enough in yourself. He is asking you to trust that His grace is enough for you. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10 echoes that same assurance. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. What a powerful promise. God says, I am with you. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will hold you up. You are not the one holding everything together. God is holding you together. If that speaks to your heart, say it with me in your spirit. Lord, your grace is sufficient for me. In my weakness, reveal your strength. I surrender my limits to you. You do not have to be strong enough. God already is. The fifth promise comes from Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, and this one is for the people who are tired of doing the right thing without seeing results. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. That is such a real kind of tiredness. It is the tiredness that comes from loving people who do not always notice, from serving when no one applauds, from giving when the return seems invisible, from praying for a long time without seeing the answer yet, from trying to stay faithful while your heart quietly wonders whether it is making any difference at all. That kind of weariness can be especially dangerous because it does not always look dramatic. It slowly settles in. It steals enthusiasm a little at a time. It makes you question whether your effort is worth it. It whispers, why keep going if nothing is changing? And God answers that question with hope. Do not grow weary in doing good. Why? Because due season is coming. Due season means God's timing, not your rushed timeline, not the enemy's discouraging timetable. God's timing, perfect timing, the right time. You may be in the sowing season right now, and sowing is not glamorous. It is slow. It requires patience, discipline, and faith. You do not always see immediate fruit when you plant a seed, but that does not mean the seed is dead. It means it is working underground before it ever appears above the surface, and God never wastes a seed. Every act of obedience matters. Every prayer matters. Every sacrifice matters. Every quiet act of love matters. Every time you choose not to quit, heaven sees it. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 reminds us, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So if this is a season of sowing, do not panic, because you are not reaping yet. Seed time is still part of God's plan, and if you stay faithful, the harvest will come. Maybe your weary heart needs to hear this in a very personal way. Keep going in your family. Keep going in your ministry. Keep going in your work. Keep going in your private life. Keep going in your growth. Keep going in the small acts of faithfulness nobody claps for. The enemy wants you to believe it is pointless. But God says your labor is not in vain. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58 says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Not in vain. That means your effort matters. Your endurance matters. Your obedience matters. Your faithfulness matters. So when you feel like quitting, remember this: weariness is not always a sign to stop. Sometimes it is a sign to lean harder on God and keep moving by faith. Say this aloud if you need to. I will not grow weary in doing good. I trust God's timing. My harvest is coming. I will not faint. Stay faithful. Keep sowing. Keep trusting. What God has promised, He will bring to pass. The sixth promise comes from Psalm chapter 46, verses 1 and 2, and it gives us one of the strongest reminders of all. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. That phrase, very present help, is powerful. It means God is not delayed. He is not far away. He is not only helpful in theory, He is present right now, in the middle of your fatigue, in the middle of your anxiety, in the middle of your uncertainty, in the middle of the storm. He is there. Life can sometimes feel like everything is shaking at once. Responsibilities pile up. News comes in that you were not expecting. Relationships strain. Finances tighten. Health challenges appear. Emotional battles intensify. and fear starts to creep in and tell you that you will not get through this one. But Psalm 46 speaks right into that kind of moment. Even if the earth moves, even if the mountains fall, even if the foundations shake, God remains your refuge. A refuge is a shelter, a place of protection, a safe hiding place in the middle of trouble. When you are tired, you do not need a louder panic. You need a safer place, and that place is the presence of God. You do not have to outrun your storm. You can run to Him. The psalm continues with another invitation in verse 10. Be still, and know that I am God. Being still is not passive surrender to defeat. It is active trust. It is the decision to stop trying to control what only God can control. It is the choice to rest your heart in His authority. It is letting Him be God while you stop pretending you are. That stillness can feel hard when your mind is racing, but peace begins when you place your attention back on the one who is steady. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3 reinforces this promise. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Perfect peace does not come from having a perfect life. It comes from having a fixed mind, a mind set on God, a heart anchored in trust. So when fear rises, come back to this truth. God is my refuge. God is my strength. God is my very present help. If you need to, say it over and over until your heart starts to believe it again. Lord, you are my refuge and my strength. When I am weak, you are strong. Teach me to be still and trust you, even when the storm is loud. You are safe in the shelter of His presence. Now let all 6 of these promises settle into your spirit. When you are worn out, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 says God renews your strength. When you are burdened, Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. When you feel lost or drained, Psalm chapter 23, verses 1 through 3 says your shepherd restores and leads you. When you feel weak, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 says God's strength is made perfect in weakness. When you are discouraged by slow results, Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says your harvest will come in due season. When life feels unstable, Psalm chapter 46, verses 1 and 2 says God is your refuge. These are not just verses to admire. They are truths to hold on to. They are words to pray. They are promises to carry with you into the hardest parts of your day. You may be tired, but you are not defeated. You may feel fragile, but you are not forgotten. You may be in a hard season, but you are not alone. God sees you. God walks with you. God strengthens you. God restores you. God carries you when you cannot carry yourself. Your story does not end in exhaustion. It ends in renewal. So lift your head. Take the next breath. Take the next step. Let the burden go, even if only little by little. Trust that God is working even in the places where you cannot see it yet. And remember the mercy of the Lord, as Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 and 23 declares. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because His compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. New mercy, new strength, new hope. Not because yesterday was easy, but because God is faithful. Tomorrow is not just another day. It is another chance to be upheld by the same God who has never failed you yet. So rise again. Rest when you need to rest. Trust when you cannot trace His hand. Keep going when the road feels long. Stay faithful when you are tempted to quit. God is with you, and He will not let you go.